Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jenny, and as always, I'm here with Mark, our resident tech guru. Mark, how's it going?
Jenny, I'm doing great. Super pumped about today's topic. It's something I've been diving deep into lately, and, well, let's just say it involves a asterisk lot time of data, but not the kind you might think.
Ooh, intriguing. You've got my attention. So we're not talking about, mountains of spreadsheets or endless cat videos?
Nope, even better. We're talking about asterisk synthetic times data. It's artificially generated data that mimics real-world data, and the market for this stuff is, to put it mildly, exploding.
Okay, wait, synthetic data? So fake data? Why would anyone want fake times data?
That's the brilliant part. It's not fake in the sense of being useless. It's designed to be statistically times to real data, but without any of the privacy risks. Think of it like a stunt double in a movie. Looks just like the real actor, but it's not actually them.
Okay, that analogy makes sense. So it's like having all the benefits of the real data without compromising anyone's personal information? That sounds almost too good to be true.
Right? And that's why the market is booming. We're talking about growth from $0.3 billion in 2023 to a projected $2.10 times billion times by 2028. That's a nearly 46% compound annual growth rate. I mean, wow!
Those numbers are staggering. So what's driving this massive growth? Is it just about privacy?
Privacy is a asterisk huge times part of it, especially with regulations like GDPR and CCPA. But it's also about the sheer demand for data, especially in AI and machine learning. Training AI models requires vast amounts of data, and sometimes getting enough real-world data is difficult, expensive, or ethically questionable.
So synthetic data steps in to fill that gap? It's like, need 1 million images of cats wearing hats? We can generate that for you.
Exactly. Or, more realistically, need 1,000 hours of simulated driving data to train your self-driving car algorithm? No problem. That's a real application, by the way. Autonomous vehicle companies are huge times consumers of synthetic data.
That makes perfect sense. Simulating all those different driving scenarios, different weather, lighting, road conditions, would be incredibly difficult, not to mention dangerous, to collect in the real world.
Precisely. And it's not just self-driving cars. Healthcare is another big one. Think about training AI to diagnose diseases from medical images. You can't just share thousands of patients' x-rays without their explicit consent. And even then, there are risks. Synthetic data solves that.
So they can create synthetic medical images that have all the characteristics of real diseases, but without revealing any actual patient information? That's incredibly clever.
It is. And it's being used in drug discovery too. They can simulate clinical trials with synthetic patient data, which can speed up the research process and reduce costs. I was reading about how Google has a tool specifically for generating synthetic health records.
Wow. So who are the major players in this synthetic data world? Are we talking about the usual tech giants?
You guessed it. Microsoft, Google, IBM, they're all in on it. But there are also some smaller, specialized companies making waves, like Gretel.ai and DataGen. They're focusing on things like privacy-enhanced synthetic data and generating really realistic synthetic environments.
It sounds like there's a whole ecosystem springing up around this. What kind of techniques are they using to create this data? Is it all just, computer magic?
Well, there are times some computer magic involved. A lot of it relies on something called generative adversarial networks, or GANs. I know. It sounds intimidating.
It does sound little intimidating. Can you give us the, explain it like I'm 5 version?
Okay, picture this. You have 2 AI models. One is like a forger trying to create fake paintings. The other is like an art critic, trying to spot the fakes. They're constantly battling each other. The forger gets better and better at creating fakes, and the critic gets better and better at spotting them. Eventually, the forger gets so good that the critic can't tell the difference anymore. That's essentially how GANs work.
That's a brilliant analogy. So the forger, in this case, is creating the synthetic data, and the critic is making sure it's realistic enough?
You got it. And there are other techniques too, like variational autoencoders and differential privacy methods. Differential privacy is all about adding just the right amount of noise to the data to protect individual privacy without sacrificing the overall utility.
So it's like blurring out someone's face in a photo, but for data?
Kind of, yeah. It's a mathematical way of ensuring that you can't reverse engineer the synthetic data to identify any individual in the original dataset.
This is all incredibly fascinating, Mark. But are there any downsides? Any challenges or controversies in this field?
Of course. One of the biggest challenges is ensuring the asterisk quality times of the synthetic data. If it's not realistic enough, it can lead to AI models that perform poorly in the real world. There was a case study I read about where an insurance company used synthetic data for claim simulations, and it resulted in a significant drop in accuracy.
Ouch. So garbage in, garbage out, even with synthetic data?
Exactly. And there are ethical concerns too, even with privacy protections. There's a risk that synthetic data could perpetuate or even amplify biases present in the original data. If your training data is biased, your AI model will likely be biased too.
That's a really important point. So it's not just about creating the data, it's about creating it times responsibly.
Absolutely. And there are regulatory hurdles too. Making sure synthetic data complies with regulations like GDPR is an ongoing challenge. It's a field constantly being reviewed and refined, and it is important that these companies generating this data continue to adapt.
So what does the future look like for synthetic data? Are we going to see even more of it in the years to come?
Oh, definitely. I think we're just scratching the surface. As AI algorithms get more sophisticated, the demand for high-quality, privacy-preserving data will only increase. I expect to see more specialized synthetic data solutions for different industries, and more user-friendly tools that make it accessible to smaller companies, not just the tech giants.
It's like we're moving towards a future where data can be abundant and accessible without compromising privacy. That's a pretty exciting prospect.
It is. And, it opens up all sorts of possibilities for innovation. Think about areas where data is scarce or sensitive. Rare diseases, historical events, even simulating entire ecosystems. The potential is enormous.
Well, Mark, you've certainly convinced me that synthetic data is more than just fake data. It's a powerful tool that's transforming how we approach AI, privacy, and data-driven innovation. Thanks for shedding light on this fascinating topic.
My pleasure, Jenny. It's a topic I could talk about for hours, but I think we've given our listeners a good overview. And, as always, we encourage everyone to do their own research and explore the world of synthetic data. It's a wild ride.
Great advice. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this data-driven adventure. We'll be back next week with another exciting topic. Until then, stay curious.